Hello, everyone. My name is Ole Kagan, and I'm the Community Engagement Coordinator with LA County Library. And I welcome you to Microsoft PowerPoint for intermediate users. Before we get going with today's event, I'll take care of some housekeeping, do the land acknowledgement, and tell you what's coming up next for our Microsoft Office workshops. So if you can hear me and see the slide on the screen, then you're good to go. However, if you're having trouble hearing me or seeing me, do let me know in the chat and I will do my best to assist. If you'd like to listen to this presentation on the phone, you can do that by calling 1-669-900-6833 and using the access code 858-1501 3340 and the passcode 123123. Additionally, automated closed captioning is available on Zoom in case you'd like to read along with the presentation. To enable that, you would press the CC button in your Zoom window. Now, you may have noticed that the mics and video is disabled for attendees of the program. That's so that everyone can focus on our presenter. We do, however, welcome your questions and comments. Questions can go in the Q&A box and comments can go in the chat. I would also like to note that this class is being recorded and you will receive a copy of the YouTube link in a follow-up email. And one more thing before we get into our land acknowledgement, I know that for many of our Microsoft Office workshops classes, people have the tendency to try to have a Microsoft PowerPoint or whatever software window open and follow along, try to do the same thing as our presenter does. I would recommend not doing that and just focusing on the class. That is because we're going to post the video on YouTube later, and that way you'll be able to follow along, stop, make it faster, slower, rewind as you need, and be able to really take advantage of those features. Whereas today, we're not going to be able to stop and review. We have to keep moving forward since this is live. All right. Now let's move on to our land acknowledgement. The County of Los Angeles recognizes that we occupy land originally and still inhabited and cared for by the Tongva, Tataviam, Serrano, Quiche, and Chumash peoples. We honor and pay respect to their elders and descendants, past, present, and emerging, as they continue their stewardship of these lands and waters. We acknowledge that settler colonization resulted in land seizure, disease, subjugation, slavery, relocation, broken promises, genocide, and multi-generational trauma. This acknowledgement demonstrates our responsibility and commitment to truth, healing, and reconciliation, and to elevating the stories, culture, and community of the original inhabitants of Los Angeles County. We are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on these ancestral lands. We are dedicated to growing and sustaining relationships with Native peoples and local tribal governments, including, in no particular order, the Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Tongva Indians of California Tribal Council, the Gabrielino Tongva San Gabriel Band of Mission Indians, the Gabrielino Band of Mission Indians Quiche Nation, Yahavitam of San Manuel Nation, San Fernando Band of Mission Indians, Coastal Band of Chumash Nation, Gabrielino Tongva Nation, and Gabrielino Tongva Tribe. To learn more about the First Peoples of Los Angeles County, please visit the Los Angeles City County Native American Indian Commission website at lanic.lacounty.gov. I'll post that in the chat as well. All right, and let's go ahead and get moving. I want to let you know what we have coming up, and then we'll get right into PowerPoint for intermediate users. We had a question in the chat. What's the duration of this workshop? It's going to be about an hour. So we'll do about an hour, have a little bit of Q&A, and then we'll be done. But if you need to drop off at any time, Once again, the session is being recorded, so don't worry about that. Feel free to drop off, and then you'll get a video in your email. It'll be on YouTube for you to watch at your leisure. So what we have coming up next in our Microsoft Workshop series is Microsoft Word for Beginners on January 6th in 2026, if we can believe it, in the new year, January 6th, Tuesday at 11 a.m. If you're frustrated with the fundamentals of Microsoft Word, join us for an easy to follow class that covers all the basics. Learn practical skills for writing letters, formatting resumes, and drafting meeting agendas to bring order to your work. That class is, of course, free, like all of our library events, virtual and in person. If you're interested in learning more about our library events, you can go to our website at lacountylibrary.org, and there's an events menu item at the very top of the page, right in the middle. Go to the events calendar. That's you see all of our programs that are virtual or in person for teens, youth, adults, emerging adults, older adults, all free at 85 library locations, or you can click directly to virtual programs and see all of our Zoom sessions. Once again, all ages, all completely free and for you. All right, and now it's time to get going with today's event, Microsoft Office, Microsoft PowerPoint for intermediate users, and our presenter for today is Selenia Marquardt, who is part of our literacy team with Adult and Digital Services. And Selenia will be teaching you about Microsoft PowerPoint. Selenia, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much, Oleg. Welcome, everybody. Good morning to today's PowerPoint for Intermediate program. I hope you learned something new by the time I finish the presentation. So let me get going with sharing my screen. Just give me 1 second here. And okay, so let's get started. I wanted to go ahead and let me turn off my video screen. Okay. So I want to get started with an overview of what we will be covering today. We will be covering animations and transitions, how to build a branded layout, and how to create a visual status report. So let's go ahead and get started with our first topic, animations and transitions. Now, first, I wanted to go over the definitions and what the differences are between the topics we're going to be learning about. So I'm going to make my screen bigger so that we can read the text a little better. So animations, what are animations? So animations are a special effect or a type of movement that can be applied to an object. An object can be a picture, an icon, or text. Animations can be used to emphasize key points, to manage the flow of information, or to illustrate concepts. But it's recommended to use animations sparingly to avoid having your audience distracted and to avoid a cluttered slide deck. All right, the next topic will be trigger. So what is a trigger effect? The trigger effect is the ability to set a special start condition for an animation. You can set the animation to start after you click on a shape, icon, or an image. Trigger is useful when you want to control the timing of when the information that you are trying to relay is displayed. And lastly, transitions are a special effect that can be applied for transition between a previous slide and a current slide. So transitions are applied to slides to improve the flow of your slide deck and to maintain engagement of your audience. To avoid overuse or complex do try to avoid overuse of transitions. It can be distracting and it could possibly weaken the message that you're trying to relay to your audience. Okay, so now that we've looked at the definitions and differences, let's take a look at how we can use these animations. I'm going to go ahead and exit the full screen. And we'll start with how to add animation. So here I have 3 different objects. I have a text box, I have an icon, and a picture. And I wanted to add 3 different things so that you can see that adding animation to different objects is the same process. So how do we do that? First, we're going to go up to the ribbon and we are going to go to the tab that says animation here at the very top. I'm going to click animation, and I know that animations is selected because you see that it has the red line right underneath. Okay, so now I'm going to apply an animation to these objects. I'm going to select Saturn, and now I see that my animations are available here. So I have what, 5 animations here, but if I want to see more, I can click on this little arrow right next to it, click on that arrow, and you can see that there are more animations available for me to apply to my icon. And you can see PowerPoint does a great job of categorizing them. You see the entrance animations, emphasis animations, and we have exit animations. And there's also menus down here at the bottom of the screen where you have even more options. But for now, let's go ahead and apply an entrance animation to Saturn, and we'll go ahead and apply float in. Excellent. I'll go ahead and apply animation to my picture. Again, I'll go back up to my ribbon, click on the arrow, and I want this one to swivel. And lastly, my text box, I click on there, and we know that the text box is selected because we see the lines that appeared with the little circles on the corners and in the middle. And now let's apply float in for my text box. All right, excellent. So how do we know that the animation is applied to our objects? The reason we know that the animation is applied is because if you notice, each object now has a little square with a number on it. So Saturn has 1, 2, and my text box has 3. So not only does that tell us that there's animation applied to the object, but it tells us the order of that the animation will happen. And another way you know that your slide has animation is if you look on the left-hand side over here on the thumbnail, the slide that's selected that has the frame around it, you'll see a small little star right underneath the 3. And that also lets me know that this slide has some type of animation. Okay, so now that we applied our animation, let's preview what it looks like. So here we have the preview button on the left-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and preview. Excellent, that looks great. But if I notice, let me move this down. The animations are a little too fast, right? If I want to make them a little slower, I can go ahead and let me click on Saturn. And I go here to the timing group on the top and back on the ribbon. And I'm going to change the duration to make it a little longer. So I'm going to change it to 1.50. I'm going to click on my picture and I'm going to do the same thing. Actually, the picture's okay, but I'm going to make the text box the animation go a little slower. Okay, so let me try it again. Now you'll see that the animation for Saturn and the animation for the text box moved a little slower. So the timing group is a great, if you want to control the timing of your objects, you can either make it faster or you can make it slower. And something else I want to demonstrate for animations is the animation pane. If we look here on our ribbon, we see animation pane right here at the top. Now, animation pane is great because it lets us know, it gives us a list of the icons that we have on the screen and what has been applied to them. So the next step I wanted to show you all is how to add a second animation to an object. So as we have already done, we have one animation per object. But now I want to give my Saturn icon a second animation. So how do I do that? If I go back up to the ribbon, I see this add animation button here at the very top. I can go ahead and click on that. And as you see, again, I get the same menu, but this time I'm adding another animation to that icon. So this time, let's make Saturn, let's make it swivel. So now you'll see that Saturn has 2 numbers here on the corner. This tells me that Saturn has 2 animations applied to it. So if you look back here on our animation pane on the right-hand side, you'll see that the graphic we added a different animation, so that means it has two animations applied to Saturn. But I want the animation to go after number one, so I can grab that and move it right under number one. So now when I play it, if I go back to preview, it'll swivel right after. So the animation pane is a great to see not only a list of the animations that you have applied, but you can change the order of the animation. And also, if you hover over the little stars, it'll tell you what kind of animation you applied. For instance, this one is entrance, also entrance, and I think they're all entrance here. But if you would have applied an exit animation, they would have all been listed, and this is a way to know what you have applied. Okay, so let's move on to trigger. So trigger is actually a really cool effect that PowerPoint has. I'm going to go ahead and close my animation pane here. Now, as we learned a few minutes ago, trigger lets us apply an effect so that it can start after we click on an object. So this slide, I already have it done. So I want to show you what it looks like. I'm going to click on my slideshow button here at the bottom to demonstrate what trigger does and what it looks like. Okay, so now we see that my text box has disappeared. And the reason is because it's when I click on the picture of the places on the screen, it's going to trigger the text box to appear. So if you notice that my mouse, at the moment, the cursor is the arrow. But if I hover over the picture, the arrow turns into a little hand. So that just lets me know that there's something applied to that picture. So let's go ahead and try it. So I click on the first picture and it triggers my Bryce Canyon information to animate. Second one, Zion National Park. And lastly, Mount Rushmore, which is pretty cool. So again, trigger lets you control when you want your information to be displayed. This is very helpful when you're given a presentation and you're controlling when the information is coming up on your screen. So how did I do that? I'm going to exit the full screen so I can demonstrate how I applied that animation. Okay, so I'm going to the next slide. So here I have the exact same thing, but let's go ahead and apply the animation and set the trigger effect. So first what I want to do is I'm going to click on the Bryce Canyon text box. Again, we know that it's selected because it has the frame around it and we see the little circles around the box. So I'm going to apply the animation first. I want it to appear. I'm going back up to my ribbon and you notice I'm still on the animations tab. I'm going to make it appear. And now I want to apply the trigger effect so that when I click on the Bryce Canyon picture, this text box will appear. So again, you'll see that we have the little one right next to the text box. But now I'm going back up to my ribbon. And here on the advanced animation group, you'll see that we have the option of trigger. So we'll go ahead and select that. And then we'll select on click of, and I want it to be triggered when I click on picture number 2. So I'm going to select picture number 2. Excellent. So now you'll see that that number 1, the little number that was on the corner, it actually turned into a lightning bolt. And you'll see that the lightning bolt matches the one here on trigger on the ribbon. So that's how you know that you've applied the trigger effect. So let's quickly go and select another example, Zion National Park. I'm going to select my text box. I'm going to apply float in. Now I'm going to apply the trigger effect. So again, I'm going to go back up to my ribbon, click on trigger here right in the middle, on click of, and this is picture number 4. And again, you notice that that little number changed into the lightning bolt. And the same thing with the last text box. We'll click on the text box to select it. And this time I'm going to go back up to the ribbon and give it a bounce. Perfect. And again, go back up to the ribbon, trigger, on click of, and this is picture number 6. And that is how you apply the trigger effect. Now, trigger effect is a little tricky. When I was learning about trigger to teach this course, it took me a couple of tries to get it. But again, as Oleg mentioned a few minutes ago, the presentation is being recorded. So you can definitely go back and review the video and review this section if you like. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and move on to transitions. So transitions are a way to to apply an effect from one slide to the next. So here I just have a nice picture of South Carolina, but I want to apply a transition. So we are going to leave the animations tab. So we are going to go back up to the ribbon. And again, we have animation selected, but we want to go right next door to transitions. So we're going to click on transitions, and you'll see that the ribbon looks very similar to the ribbon that we had for animations. We have our preview button, we have our types of transitions that we can apply, and our timing group here. So let's go ahead and see what transitions we have. If I click on the arrow again here on the ribbon, it'll also give me more options. And again, like similar to animations, we also have them categorized. We have subtle transitions, exciting transitions, and dynamic content. But I want to keep my presentation not too dramatic. I just want to keep something to keep my audience engaged. So I'm going to select push. So now you notice that the transition, when I moved from one slide to the next, it moved up. So transitions have different option. If we look again on our ribbon, we see an effects option here. If I click on there, I can select if I want that push transition to go from left to right, or from right to left, or from the top to the bottom. So it's really my decision of what I feel comfortable with or what I feel looks great for the presentation that I'm giving. So that's just a really cool option to get. The majority of transitions have the effects option. I think there are just a couple of, I think Honeycomb doesn't have it. Yeah, see Honeycomb transition, you'll see that the effect options is grayed out, so that one is not available. So I don't want to use Honeycomb. Let me change it back to push. All right. So the same thing as with animations, I can change the timing so that when the transition happens between slides, it'll be a little slower. I can go here to the timing group on the ribbon. I can pick up the raise the duration of the transition, or I can make it go faster by lowering it. So let's see what that looks like. Let me apply it to the next slide. I'll also apply push. And you see that it transitions that way. So it's a really cool animation effect. All right, excellent. So that is the end of the animations and transitions presentation. Let's go on to the next topic, which is how to put together a branded layout. So I'm going to minimize my screen here and open up my second one. Okay, perfect. So let's create a branded layout. So creating a branded layout requires visual elements like colors, logos, and fonts. So before designing a layout, think about the brand's purpose, personality, and the audience to ensure the layout effectively communicates your message. To create a branded layout, I will use a made-up store. I like to garden, so I created this made-up store called Leaves. And the store sells plants and garden accessories. And I also created a little logo that you see on the screen, which incorporates the colors and the font that I want to use in my design. So let's start building the branded layout. So for each slide that I add, I'm going to demonstrate a design tool you can use. All right, so let's start by adding a slide. So here on the left-hand side, you see that I have one slide only. I'm going to click on the bottom of that thumbnail, and you'll see that there's a red line that appeared. I'm going back up to my ribbon. I'm going to ensure that it's on the Home tab. And here you see where it says New Slide. what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on that little arrow or the one that says new slide with the arrow, and you'll see that it gives me different options of layouts. For this one, since it's my very first slide, I want it to be my title slide. So I'm going to click on that one. And you'll see that now I have an area to put my title and an area to put anything else that I want to add. So on this slide, I want to show you all how to use the slide master view. So what is a slide master view? The slide master view lets you control the look of your entire slide deck by making changes to one slide. So let's go ahead and try it. So where do we find the slide master view? If we go back up to our ribbon and we see here video, I'm sorry, not video, but view, I can go ahead and click on the view tab. And then I move over to the left and you'll see the master views group. And you see here slide master. So I'm going to go ahead and click on slide master. All right, and so now we're in the slide master view, but I just want to let you all know that this has happened to me every time that I use slide master view. If you look on the left-hand side here on the thumbnails, it doesn't, I'm not sure why, but it doesn't take me to the very first slide. So just make sure that if you are using the slide master view, you scroll up, you going all the way up to the very first slide. You'll know that you're on the true slide master because it has the number 1. And if you hover over it, it says slide master. So that's how you know that you're actually working on the main slide. So I'm going to go ahead and select that one. Perfect. So now I know the first slide is, you see the frame around it. So now I am on the proper slide that I want to edit. So here I want to make sure that my entire layout, my entire presentation has the font that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of the text here. And I'm going to select the font that I want my presentation to have, which is Broadway. So I'm going to click on Broadway. So that will have the, every title of my slides will have the Broadway font. Now the text that's on the body of the slides, I want that to be ink free. So I'm just going to find it down here somewhere. There it is, ink free. Okay, perfect. And I also want to change the size, the font size, to make it a little bigger. So let's change it to 30. Well, that's too big. How about 24? All right, excellent. Okay, so now we made the changes. Now all of the fonts, all when I add my slides, all the font will be Broadway on my title, and the body of this text on the slides will be ink free. But I also want to make sure that my logo is on all the slides that I add to my presentation. So I'm going to quickly close the master view. I'm going to copy the logo that I had on the first screen. I'm going to go back to my second slide, go to view up here at the top because I'm going back to the slide master view. Click on slide master here. Make sure I scroll back up to ensure that I'm on the very first slide, the true master's slide master. And now here I'm going to copy, I'm going to paste my logo. And what I did, I used Control V, but you can also right click on your mouse and paste it that way. Okay, so I'm going to make my logo a little bit smaller and put it right in the corner. So this is very helpful because now every time that I add a slide, my logo will be in the exact same spot that I put it. I don't have to go through every single slide and add the logo to every single one at a time. This ensures that it's always there no matter how many slides I add. Okay, so I'm going to go back and close the master view. All right, so now you notice that here it says, you notice that the font was changed to Broadway. So let's go ahead and change it. Leaves, and then that's the name of my store. And then our slogan here is plants are our jam. So what did you notice? You notice that as soon as I started typing, my title was already in the font of Broadway, and the text in the body of my slide is in ink-free font, and my logo appears on the right top corner, which is a time saver. So that is a slide master view, which is pretty cool, and it's a time saver. So let's get going. Let's keep adding to our layout. I'm going to go back to the left-hand side, and I'm going to add another slide. So I'm going back up to my ribbon, click on New Slide, and this time I want a section header. So I'm going to click on this. And again, you notice the font's already done and my logo is ready to go. I didn't have to add any of that. It's ready. So here I want to, this is going to be the mission statement of the store. And then to enrich by connecting people with nature. Excellent. You see, as I was typing, it already knew that I wanted that font, and it's actually typing it in size 30. It should be typing it in 32. All right, perfect. So in this slide, I want to show you how to add a picture to the background of the slide. So if we go back up to the ribbon, we click on Design this time here, and we go to the right-hand side and click on Format Background here in the Customize group. You'll see that I have a new menu appear. So what I want to do is I want to apply a picture to the background of this slide. So I'm going to click on Picture or Texture here right in the middle. And you'll notice that it automatically applied a texture, but I don't want a texture. I want to insert a picture. So I'm going to go down here and see the picture source, and I'm going to click Insert. Now, when I do that, you'll see that you have a couple of different options. You can insert a picture from a file, stock images, or online pictures, or even from an icon. But in this case, I want to search online pictures. All right, excellent. Here, I'm going to search for succulent, and I'm going to hit Enter on my keyboard. And now you see that I get all the pictures that have to do with succulents. So one thing I wanted to mention here is you'll notice that Creative Commons only is selected. It has a little check mark. So what is Creative Commons? Creative Commons only means that the search results only include images that can be used for free and are offered to the public for its use. So I definitely want that. I don't want to get in trouble. So I'm going to leave that and use one of the images that are free to use. So I really like this one, and I'm going to go ahead and select it. I know that I selected it because it has a frame. And now I'm going to click on Insert here in the button. And you notice, beautiful, right? The succulent picture is on my slide. It covers everything. I don't have to adjust it. But what do we notice? We can't read our mission statement, right? The mission statement is nice and bold, but the actual mission statement is hard to read. So how do we fix that? If we go back to the menu on the right-hand side, we see here a transparency option. There's a little lever. So if I use the little lever, we can actually dim the picture, right? If we go lower, it gets dimmer and dimmer. So in this case, I already kind of know that 75% for this slide works. So I can also type it in this little square. And there we go. So now we dim the picture. Our logo is easier to see here, and mission statement is easier to read. And we have the beautiful picture of the succulent in the background, which is really, really nice. Perfect. If you have any questions, please let us know in the Q&A. Okay, so moving on, I'm going to close the menu here. Just click on the X. And I'm going to go back to the left-hand side to insert, keep building the layout. I'm going to go here to the left-hand side and insert the next one. I'm still on design here in the ribbon. I need to go to the home tab. So now we're home. Again, I'm going to add a new slide. And this time I want a picture with a caption layout. So let's see, where did it go? This one. All right, so this is the accessories that my store is going to sell. Accessories, let's see. I'm selling gloves, soil for sure. Oops. And shears and also containers. Why not? Okay. So then here you'll notice that we have an option to insert a picture. If we click on insert picture, again, we have the same options. We can insert a picture on the device, web, stock images, and so forth. So let's go ahead and click on search on web. And this time I'm going to search for gardening tools. And again, you'll notice that Creative Commons only is selected. So I want to use images that are free to use. And I like the first one, so I'll select that one and insert. And again, it nicely inserts the picture. Let me close that. I'm just going to minimize it a little bit so we can see our logo. Excuse me. Okay, so now for this slide, I want to show you a design tool that PowerPoint has to design your presentation. So we're going back up to the ribbon, and this time we're going to click on design. And here you see a couple of options. We have themes, variants, and the one we previously used, format background. So for this one, I want to demonstrate themes. So since I'm building a presentation, a slide deck for a gardening store, I want to pick a theme that has, earth colors and so forth. So this comes in handy if you're not great at, like myself, at designing a presentation. You can use the preloaded themes. And as you can see, when I hover over them, you can kind of preview what it'll look like. So I already know that this one here called Wisp kind of fits the store image. It has like some images that look kind of like grass. So I'm going to select that one. But I don't want this theme to be applied to all of the slides that I already created. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my mouse right above the Wisp thumbnail, and I'm going to select apply to this to select a slide only. I don't want it to be applied to all of my slides. I only want it to be applied to the one on the screen. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right. Let me go ahead and close this one. Okay, so what did we notice? When I applied the theme, it undid everything I had put in the slide master. So you notice that it made my font smaller, it got rid of my Broadway font. And if you take a look at the logo, it changed the color of the logo. So just take, to consideration if you do have something already pre-done and preset, if you use the theme, it will most likely change the colors or the look of the layout that you had already. So just a word of caution if you do plan on using themes. Okay, so that's how you apply themes, and there's also variants. So if we look here at the ribbon at the top, there's a group called variants. So variants lets us change the color of the theme. So if I click here on the right side of the variants group, we see an arrow and we see colors. So you'll see when I hover over colors, you'll see a whole different color palette. And as I scroll over them, you'll see that the colors change. And again, since this is a store for selling gardening items, I want to stick with greens and earth tones. So we'll go ahead and select green, yellow. And you notice my little tab here changed to green. The background changed a little bit, but again, if you look at my logo here on the top, it changed the color. So again, if you're using themes and variants, just something to keep in mind that if you already have something preset, it might change the color. So just a word of caution. So that's definitely not something that I want, but I wanted to show the options that we have to design something just in case we don't want to think of the design ourselves. Okay, so let's add actually two more slides. The next one, I'm going to go back to the ribbon, go back to Home tab, new slide. And this time I want down here. I want the two content layout. This one. So this one is going to be my contact information. Here is going to be our hours of operation. And this is going to be our address, my phone number, and the website. Okay, perfect. So on this slide, I want to demonstrate a different tool that you can use that PowerPoint has to help you design slides. So now we're going to change from the home. Whoops. We're going to change from the home tab here on the top. We're going over to design, the design tab here on the top. Okay, so for design, if we go all the way to the right, here we have design suggestions. When I click on design suggestions, we'll have a menu here on the right-hand side, and this is PowerPoint's suggested designs for me. So if I scroll down here, I can see all the designs that PowerPoint nicely created. That way I don't have to think of like, hey, I should put the text over here, or I can put the text down here. It creates suggestions for me. So I keep scrolling down so I can, browse what it's offering. And if I move this, if I look here at the bottom, I see that there are even more designs available. So if I click there, the bottom here, it comes up with even more design suggestions. But I remember from the very top, I like the very first one that I saw, this one here. So I'm going to click on this one and look at that. It applies the design suggestion wonderfully. It has my hours of operation and my contact information here on the side. Now I can just go ahead and plug in my information. Maybe it's Monday through Friday and so forth. Plug in my address and all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and click close out the designer tool. Just a note here, it doesn't allow, I don't believe it allows you to change the color. So I think if I do want to use this slide, I won't be able to change the color. And you also notice that my logo disappeared. So just in case you want to use the design suggestions tool, just a word of caution, you might not be able to change or edit colors, or it might make your icons disappear. And one more thing I wanted to mention about design suggestions, I found that some versions of PowerPoint don't have this tool. For example, the version that I have, the PowerPoint version that I have at home doesn't have design suggestions available for me to use. So, but the laptop I have at work does have this tool. So it just depends on the version of PowerPoint that you are using. You may or may not have this tool. So that's just another thing to just be aware of in case you want to use the design option, design suggestions, and you're trying it later at home and you're like, hey, I don't have that. That's probably the reason why. It depends on the version that you have. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish up this brand layout. Let's go back up to our left-hand side, and we're going to insert our last layout, going back up to the ribbon, home, and then new slide. And this time I'm just going to insert a blank slide because that's the end of my branded layout. And this time I'm going to just copy my logo. Again, I'm using Control C on my keyboard, going back to my last slide here on the left-hand side. And I'm just going to Control V with my keyboard. And that is it. I'm going to put this as the end of my branded layout. Okay, but here I also wanted to show you something really quickly, just in case, again, like me, I'm not great at design and you want PowerPoint to possibly create a designed presentation for you. It does have an option for that. So what we can do is PowerPoint has themes available for you, and they're not the same themes that we talked about earlier. This is a completely different option. So if I go back up to the ribbon and go to File here on the top left-hand corner, I'm going ahead and click on File. So now we have this menu that pops up, but if we go all the way to the right, we see here on the top right corner, more themes. I'm going to click on that. And now you see that we have different options. We have a search bar here in the middle. Or I can also browse their suggested searches, but I already know what I'm looking for. I want to create a branded layout for my garden store. So I'm going to use their search bar and I'm going to click type garden. And then I'm going to hit the little search icon here. Now PowerPoint is looking through its database and it found what matched my search keyword. And here we have what it came up with. So if we look at the very first one, that looks pretty cool, right? It says garden design. So let's see what this one is about. I'm going to click on it. And just by clicking on it, it tells me what this theme is about. So it tells me, it mentions plants. This garden design template includes sample content suitable for a nursery, landscaper, or anyone in plant or outdoors related business. Perfect, right? This would be perfect for my store leaves. So I'm going to create it. I'm going to click on this button that says create and look at that. PowerPoint designed it all for me, right? I have all these slides on the left-hand side that have beautiful designs. I don't have to worry about adding the background picture. I don't have to worry about changing the font style. So let me go back to the very first slide, number 1, here on the left-hand side, and I can edit it. So here I want it to say the name of my store. And if you remember, our slogan was leaves, I'm sorry, plants are our jam. And there you go. The picture's already there. Here for the second one, maybe you want to say garden accessories. Accessories. And you can go ahead and edit all of these, change it to whatever needs you need it to change to. And you can also change the icons, which is really, really great. So that is just something to show you at the end of the branded layout section that you can have PowerPoint created for you by using themes, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to our last topic, which is visual status report. Okay, so this is our last topic, as I said. We don't want to start at the end. Let's start at the beginning. Okay, perfect. So what is a visual status report? So a visual status report is a report that uses data, charts, timelines, and graphs to relay information. A visual status report can be used to provide daily, weekly, monthly, or even yearly status information. And the information can be shared with your team or your supervisors. By providing a report with visuals, it's possible to simplify complex information and it can avoid text-heavy reports. So this is a good way to, in case you have a lot of complex information, or let's say you're dealing with a budget, this is a nice way to convert a lot of text with using visuals. So let's start with our first slide. I want to show you how to link an Excel spreadsheet to PowerPoint. So I'm going to try to go a little slow on this one because it can be a little confusing, but I'm going to split my screen so that I can show you my PowerPoint slide and the Excel spreadsheet that I have. So let me go ahead and do that. Okay, perfect. I hope it's not too small for you all to see, but now you see that I have my PowerPoint visuals status report on the right-hand side and my Excel spreadsheet. And again, I'm keeping with my store leaves, and this is the expenses for December. So I want to copy this Excel spreadsheet or data onto my PowerPoint, but I also want to make sure that it is linked. So how do I do that? First, I'm going to go over to the left-hand side and I'm going to select the data. So I'm going to click on the title and then drag down and select all of the data that I want. So I know that it's selected because it has a green frame around it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my mouse and I'm going to copy it here at the top. Okay, so now we know that it's copied because now you see that the frame is perforated and it's kind of animated. So now that we know that it's copied, I want to go back to my PowerPoint slide and select that. And here I want to make sure that I am on the Home tab here on the ribbon at the top. And I want to make sure that I paste it on my slide. But I don't want any ordinary simple paste. I want my information to be linked. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go here at the left-hand corner, click on paste, but see the one that has the little arrow? I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to paste special. Now, paste special gives me a different window here, and I want to ensure that I click on paste link. So I'm going to select paste link, and I'm not going to change anything else. I'm going to leave it as is. I'm going to click OK. And now you see, hopefully you can see it's not too tiny. Let me see if I can enlarge it. Now you see that my data from Excel was copied over, but it's not just a regular copy, like I mentioned, it is now linked. So anytime that I make a change on the Excel spreadsheet, so let's say I'm looking at the very first line, my inventory, let's say it wasn't 10,000, right? Let's say it was more. Prices went up, it was $15,000. So I'm going to change it. So as I change it on the Excel spreadsheet, it should change it on the PowerPoint slide. So take a look, I'm changing it to 15,000, and on the PowerPoint slide, we have 10,000. So I'm going to hit enter. And now you see that on the PowerPoint slide, it also changed the 10,000 to 15,000. So you know that your Excel and your PowerPoint slides are linked. Let me change one more thing to give you one more example. Let's say our office supplies, this one here, went up from 250 to, let's double it. So let's change it to 500, right? So again, if you take a look at the slide, it still says 250, but once I click outside, it changed it to 500. So that is how you link an Excel spreadsheet to your PowerPoint slide. So just make sure that you don't use regular paste, but you use paste special. Perfect. Okay, so now let's go ahead and move on and show you how to link a chart. So this is very similar. I already have my chart completed, and I have it here on my Excel spreadsheet on the bottom. So again, the same thing. I have the chart done. I'm going to select it. I'm going to copy my chart. So I'm going to right click on my mouse, copy. Now I'm going to go over to PowerPoint on the right-hand side. And what am I going to do? I'm going to click on paste special one more time. So back up to the home tab on the top, click here on the top left-hand corner for paste with the little arrow, paste special. Again, I want to click on the second radio button here. It says paste link. Don't change anything else and click OK. And let me enlarge the chart here so for better visibility. Okay, so now our chart should be linked to our Excel spreadsheet. So I'm going back to the Excel spreadsheet and I'm going back to this part. So this data is reflecting what I have on the Excel spreadsheet on the left-hand side. So just for, let's minimize the inventory. Let's say it costs us less. So now I'm going to make it, let's say 10,000, back to $10,000. Now you see my chart still says 15, but now I'm changing my data on the Excel spreadsheet to 10,000. There we go. It scared me. So now you see that the chart changed to $10,000. So again, that's how you know, and it's a great way to display information. So that way, whoever you're presenting to doesn't see all of this, all this list of like things that they don't need to see. They see this beautiful chart, and you can change the data anytime you want because it's linked. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk a little bit. I'm going to minimize my Excel spreadsheet because we're done linking things, and I'm going to move on to Smart Art. Okay, so this Smart Art is a great way to display, to use graphics to communicate information visually. So where can we find smart art? So smart art is, if we go back up to the ribbon and we go to insert in the insert tab here, you'll see that we have our menu, a new ribbon open with new menus. And under the illustrations group, you'll see here in the middle, you'll see smart art. So I'm going to click on that. And that opens up a new menu of different smart art graphics, which are really good to just display a lot of text information and turn them into a visual. So here I want to put together a list of plants that were sold from June through December. So I'm going to click on list, and PowerPoint gives me different lists that I can use. So for this example, I want to use a descending block list. So I'm going to click on that one and click OK. Now you see that it added this really nice graphic. And what we can do to add text to it is, if you notice on the left-hand side here of the smart art, there's a little arrow. So I'm going to click on that. And here I have all the text that I can add. I don't want all of this, so I'm going to delete it for now so that you can see that the block lists are popping up. So we're starting off with succulents because those are the ones that we sold the most of. And when I hit return, it'll create another block. So the next type of plant I sold a lot of were ferns, let's say 450. And you see, as I keep adding grasses, I sold 300. Let's see, what else is there? Perennials. I sold 250. And lastly, annuals, I sold 50. Right? So you'll notice that our, annuals. You'll notice that the block list descends, right? So I can show this to supervisors or staff to show them, this is what we sold in the months from June through December. So instead of having a lot of text, we now created a nice visual. So to close this, I can go ahead and close here using the X. And now I can actually change the design of this smart art. So I'm going to make sure that the smart art is selected, and we know that it's selected because it has the frame around it. And you'll notice if we go back up to the ribbon that we have an option here under Smart Art Styles that we can change the color. So I'm going to keep with my theme of green, and I'm going to go to the bottom here and change it to green. So this is just to make it visually appealing if you want it to look nice. And I also have a Smart Art Styles option here where I can change the look of the block list. So I'm going to click on the arrow here on the side, on the ribbon, and I'm going to select this one. So this is really nice. It gives it like a shiny look, and it also puts a border around it. So that's a really nice way to display a lot of information in a nice visual way using smart art. Okay, and one more. I want to add a smart art basic timeline. So I want to convert all of the text that I have on the screen on this slide to a nice visual graphic. So let's go back to design up on the top on the ribbon. Oops, sorry, insert. Don't go to design, go to insert. And then here again, we're going to illustrations, the illustrations group. Click on smart art one more time. And this time I want to use a process. So I'm going to click on process, and I want this one right here. I want a basic timeline. I want to show staff the next month, what we need to do in the next months at a store. So let me go ahead and minimize this, make it a little smaller. I'm just grabbing the corners of the graphic and making it smaller. So again, here you'll notice that the smart art has the little arrow here on the left-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And again, it's easier to type my text. So here I'm just going to copy my text from here and paste it. Copy the text. I'm using Control-C on my keyboard. I'm going back to the smart graphic and just pasting, copy, Control-V the information that I have on the screen, just to go a little faster. And you notice that the buttons are added as I keep adding text. And the last one, in May, I need to order summer plants. And I'm going to hit enter to move on to the next one. And there we go. So as you notice, as I kept adding text, it kept adding these really nice the timeline, right? It was creating the timeline for me. So I took all of this text and put it together in a really nice graphic visual instead of my supervisors or management, whoever I'm presenting this visual status report to. It doesn't have all this text. It has a nice visual graphic. And again, it's just as the descendant block list. I can click on it, go back up to our smart art here in the top. Oops, no, no, no. No, I can double click, sorry. Double click, change the colors on the ribbon. I'm going to change it to green to keep with my theme. And then I'm going to go back up to the ribbon, and then I'm going to give it a nice 3D look. So there we go. So now instead of, again, all that text, we have a really nice basic timeline using smart art graphics. And it lets me know that in January, I need to replenish succulents. And by May of 2026, this is what we should be doing, ordering summer plants. Okay, so lastly, I want to show you all how to save your visual status report as a PDF. So saving it as a PDF has its benefits. It can reduce the size. It will reduce the size of the document. It makes for easy sharing, and it also preserves your formatting. It won't change your font, the layout, your logo, etc. Any formatting that you put into your visual status report, it won't change it. It also allows for easier printing. And I think the most important part is your content can't be changed. So let's say you share this content with your visual status report that has budget information. You don't want staff to be changing anything. They can't do so with converting it to saving it as a PDF. So that's an important part. So how do you save your visual status report as a PDF? To do so, we can go back up to the ribbon, and on the very top left-hand side under File, I'm going to click there. And then we get this other menu on the left-hand side. I'm going to go down to Export here on the bottom. Export. I'm going to click there, and I get even another menu. And I'm going to click on Create PDF XPS Document. So when I click on that, I get this button. I'm going to click on Create PDF. And I'm able to save it wherever I'd like. I can save it on my desktop if I have a flash drive, or wherever you like, as long as it's somewhere on your computer. For this one, I'm going to save it on my desktop, and I'm going to change the name to Visual Status Report 2025, and I'm going to click on Publish. And now you see that our Visual Status Report was turned in from a PowerPoint. It was converted to a PDF file. And now I can share my beautiful chart, my descending block list, and all of the information that you worked on easily. Okay, so that concludes my presentation. I know that was a lot of information, but I think Oleg was out there helping answer any questions that you may have. But I don't know, Oleg, if we have a couple of minutes for Q&A or.
Sure, sure. If other people have questions, there currently aren't any questions in the chat or the Q&A, but we can give people a few moments to ask their questions. So if you have a question at the forefront of your mind and you're typing it up right now, okay, will the PDF copy also show links as well?
Shouldn't, right? I don't think it
Uh,
should, or does it?
if you export as PDF, yes, it will. And if
Oh,
if there's
there you
an
go.
embedded link within Excel, it will transfer to PDF.
Excellent. I learned something new.
Yeah, no, that's
Great.
I hope it does because yeah, because when if you want people to who get the presentation to be able to click on it, right? So yeah, it
Yes,
definitely
that's
yeah
very
it
true.
does come up.
Great question.
Thank you for that. Um, Somebody says great presentation. Indeed, Selenia, well
Thank
done.
you. Thank you.
Let's see. Looking through the chat here. Um, so I don't see any, I see several compliments.
Oh.
I don't see any questions. And the question is, when will this be posted on YouTube? And the answer is hopefully later today.
Oh, look at that. Oleg is
Yeah,
quick.
we'll get a quick. Yeah, we got the
Nice.
question, can I rewatch her presentation? 100%. Yeah, it'll be posted on YouTube. I mean, there already is a previous version of this presentation, almost the same, that's up on our YouTube channel. So that would be the same name, Microsoft PowerPoint for intermediate users. So it's there now. So you could, if you want to look, you can actually rewatch it immediately. It just won't be this one that just happened. But the one that just
Yeah.
happened will be posted. Yeah, I have to edit it and it'll be posted live. Thanks for the information. Will there be a webinar on Excel? Will there be a webinar
Ooh.
on Excel? There have been we've done them, and they're also on our YouTube channel under Microsoft Excel for beginners and Microsoft Excel for intermediate users. And we will again have webinars on Excel in case you want to see them live because it's fun to see them live.
Right.
We'll have them again. We'll have them in February and then in Spanish in
June?
in the
June?
second quarter of next year. Is it
Oh,
June? I think for Excel, I think it might
oh,
be May.
different dates. Okay.
Yeah, but you'll know. But we'll,
Yeah.
you know, we'll let you all know through our email newsletter, and you know, if you follow along with our virtual programs, they'll definitely be there well in advance. Okay, let me see here. Oh, there's something else. Will you have webinars on Google Docs, slides, or sheets? Indeed, we have already had those as well. And so our YouTube channel is a font of programming information. If you go to our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/LA County Library, and you click the little magnifying glass down below there in the channel and just search Google Docs, we have several programs where we've done on the Google Drive apps. Whereas I think some of them I've done, some of them other people have done, but I've gone through and done like the whole thing for like 2 hours. We puttering around on Google Docs.
Wow.
If you're able to take that in, if you're able to tolerate me talking for 2 hours about all the different things in Google Slides and stuff, then and that we have those. Let's see other questions. Um, Great presentation. We've answered. Can I rewatch? There is a webinar in Excel. So all the links to the different sessions, I'll put them into the follow-up email. So I'll send that later today. That's when and there'll be a link to the video of this one as well. All right. Any other any other questions? In the meantime, actually, while those who still have questions are busily typing them in, I'm going to put a link to our post-event survey in the chat. It'll also come up when you close this program, but just want to send a quick message out to the folks to please do fill out our post-event survey. We very much appreciate your feedback, whether it's positive or constructive feedback. Um, we want to know if you've learned what you wanted to learn and how we can improve in the future, or if we've done the thing that you wanted us to do, which seems to be the case. Uh,
Oh, I do want to mention something. In case somebody doesn't have PowerPoint at home or on the device that they're using, you're more than welcome to have to visit one of your local LA County libraries. And we do have PowerPoint installed on our PCs, our public computers. So just in case.
There was a question that came in. Do you teach QuickBook? We have not yet, and there are currently no plans on teaching QuickBook, though I imagine it would be useful for those filing their taxes or doing any kind of bookkeeping. I think that Gale Courses actually has a course on QuickBook. It would be worth a look. Let me send a link. Gale Courses is one of our learning platforms, and I'm just gonna put a link to our online learning platforms in the chat. And if you go to Gale Courses, you can actually search the possible courses. And if I remember correctly, there is a course on QuickBook. So even though we're not going to be teaching it live, the library does offer ways for you to learn. I mean, other than books on QuickBook. All right. Wait, one more question. What is the YouTube channel? Um, it would be our LA County Library YouTube channel. Let me post it in the chat just for ease of use, and I'll put a link, of course, in the follow-up email. So if you're not able to grab it right now, you will be able to grab it in the future. It's just youtube.com/LA County Library. And if you go to there are playlists, and if you want to sort of just get the technology ones, I think it's called the Digital Literacy Playlist. And that is a ton of computer classes for like probably 5 years back. All right. I think that is all. Selenia, well done.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Thank
And
you.
thank
Thank you
you to all the
everyone for
folks out
joining
there. Yeah.
today. Yeah.
Yeah, we
Hope
appreciate
you
your
learned something
questions.
new. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. All right.
Gave you a lot of information.
All right. And
Sorry.
we'll see y'all in the new year. And see you next time.